Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 633, December the 12th, 2018, Wednesday. Yes, and of course, it being Wednesday, it's the day I take out the trash. And of course now, I'm no longer having chicken on Wednesday, I'm now having pasta. So yes, I had pasta and I took out the trash. Also, I've had quite a few new subscribers in the past few weeks, and so I just wanted to give a shout out to all of those of you who've recently visited the channel or become a subscriber or what have you. I don't have the biggest channel on YouTube, but I promise you I have the best subs and the best commenters, the best community of people who gather here to follow the story, the Spygate story, and other stories that we talk about from time to time. So I think I have the best comment section on YouTube. Certainly I have the best subs on YouTube, I know that. Wonderful people gather here, and we're all very blessed as a result of that. And so if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Make yourself right at home. Feel free to comment on anything you like. We just don't attack people personally and call them nasty names without, giving some reason or some argument. That's the only thing we don't really tolerate too much around here. Discussing issues with people's fine. Critiquing people's fine, including me. You don't always have to agree with me. That's fine. Just be nice. You gotta be a lot nicer than me, though, because a lot of days I'm not very nice. Sometimes I even lose my temper. Most of the time I don't, but sometimes I do. And also, if you are new to the channel, if you haven't looked at the timeline, my timeline is just a blog page, and what it is just literally a timeline of events outlining the entire Spygate conspiracy. And in one sitting, it would take you a couple hours to read through it because that's how much information is there. But it's specifically focused to things that I have covered here on TowerGate since I've been covering the story that all relate to the Spygate conspiracy. And that's primarily what's going on here at TowerGate. In fact, if you're new to the channel, you probably haven't heard this before, but basically what happened was back on March 6th of 2017, Trump sent out that tweet about, hey, I just found out Obama was tapping my wires. And that was on early on a Saturday morning. So I watched the news coverage and I watched social media all throughout the day on Saturday and Sunday because my first thought was, Trump's either crazy or he knows something that the rest of us don't know. And if he's telling the truth, and he was spied on by the Obama administration, this will be bigger than Watergate. So I watched the coverage for about 2 days, and of course the media was calling Trump crazy. Former Obama administration officials were coming out and making strong denials that any of this happened. And so I thought, Trump's sticking to his guns. He hasn't backed down. I think there's something going on here, and I decided I would follow the story. And I thought at first, hey, I think I'll just get a notebook, like a journal, and keep a daily journal as these events unfold and follow the story. But I decided, why not just make a video, because I'd made a few videos before that, mostly on history and things and such. So I thought, I think I'll just do a daily video and follow the story. And now here we are 633 videos later, and we're still following the story, trying to get to the bottom of it and trying to hopefully find justice for the individuals who were wronged. And there are many, including Trump, probably the most prominent one being Trump, but many others as well who've had their lives turned inside out, upside down, and destroyed because of a false narrative created by a bunch of criminal ne'er-do-wells. So that's what the channel is all about, and that's what we do here, is follow the TowerGate story. Now I typically do a 30-minute video every day, and so a lot of times there's not 30 minutes of Spygate news, and so I cover other things. Sometimes I hit lighter topics. But the main drive of this channel and the main story we follow and the main priority of this channel is the Spygate story. That's what I cover most. Okay, so that's pretty much everything I have to say about that. So welcome to the channel if you're new, subscriber. Thanks so much for joining us. Now let's get to the news. Let's see. First, we have the judge has ruled in this case that some of you follow, I guess, the case of Saggy Daniels, the porn star, and her creepy porn lawyer, Mr. Avenatti, had filed a defamation suit against Trump. And, of course, they lost the suit. And so then the next hearing was to determine how much money that Saggy and Avenatti have to pay Trump to pay his legal fees and any other damages. So today the ruling came in from the judge, and it looks like Saggy and Mr. Avenatti, the creepy porn lawyer, must pay Trump $293,052.33. That's $293,052.33, and that is to accommodate Trump for his legal fees. Let's see. Many of you may have seen the video clip of the meeting today with Trump and Pence, who I don't think Pence ever said anything, not in the video version. He didn't say anything, just kind of sat there, but mainly Trump arguing with Pelosi and Schumer over the appropriation continuing resolution budget, I should say, the continuing resolution for the budget, and of course the border wall is a key factor in whether or not that gets done or whether Trump shuts down the government. Now, what was funny about this is I don't think that Pelosi and Schumer knew that Trump was going to invite the TV cameras in so that he could debate them in front of the cameras. They were not looking forward to debating Trump on this issue in front of the cameras. So they were very agitated, and it got a little heated on a couple of occasions. And so anyway, it's quite funny to watch that clip. It was very contentious. At one point, Pelosi wanted the cameras removed from the office, and which Trump laughed and basically said no, and continued on. Now, I think they did have private conversations after the cameras left, but Trump definitely wanted to have a on-camera debate with Pelosi and Schumer just to show the weakness of their arguments, and they weren't too pleased. After the meeting took place, Pelosi addressed the media, and she compared the meeting to getting peed on by a skunk. Yeah, I guess. Alrighty, here you go. Okay, here's the background to this. Christopher Steele is involved in yet another deposition in a court in the UK. Now, of course, Christopher Steele was sued, defamation suits filed against him by various people. One of those entities was Alpha Bank, and there are three principals from Alpha Bank. Alpha Bank was in Christopher Steele's dossier as having been the bank, the Russian bank, that Trump was supposedly colluding with. One of the various Russian players he was alleged to have been colluding with. Of course, Alpha Bank denies this 100%. They say it was a false charge, and therefore they filed a defamation suit against Christopher Steele. As did Mr. Gubarev of Webzilla, who was supposedly the man who was behind the hacking of the DNC, which he, of course, vehemently denies, and also filed suit against both BuzzFeed and Christopher Steele. So there's various civil suits going on for slanderous behavior by Christopher Steele and BuzzFeed, who published the dossier. So this case is now the Alpha Bank case, and the deposition occurred yesterday. So in the deposition, Christopher Steele told the court that he provided Strobe Talbott, who was a Clinton insider. He provided Strobe Talbott with anti-Trump research because of his position on a foreign policy board set up by the rotten Reverend Clinton in 2011. Talbott served in Bill Clinton's administration and is a longtime friend of the Clintons. Talbott's brother-in-law, of course, is Cody Shearer, another one of the Clintons' hatchet men. If you remember, Shearer provided another dossier which he gave to Sidney Blumenthal, which is the rotten Reverend Clinton's closest friend and advisor. The Shearer dossier was strikingly similar to the Steele dossier. Steele's deposition was in relation to a lawsuit filed by Alpha Bank against Steele for defamation. And if you remember the whole chain of custody of that Shearer dossier, Shearer puts his dossier together, then he gives it to Sidney Blumenthal, very close friend and confidant of Hillary Clinton. Blumenthal then passes it on over to a man named Jonathan Weiner, who was in Hillary Clinton's State Department. He proceeds to pass it on to various authorities, the State Department, and maybe, we believe directly, even to someone at the FBI. So here you go, Christopher Steele admitting that he's passing this information to another close confidant of the rotten Reverend Clinton. And if you really want to go back with Mr. Talbot, Strobe Talbot, you can go all the way back to the 1960s, where he met Bill Clinton when they were both at Oxford. Clinton was there to dodge the Vietnam War. I'm not sure why Talbot was there, but that's where they first met and became friends, and have been lifelong friends. And of course, he did serve in Bill Clinton's first administration. But they actually met in the 1960s at Oxford when Clinton was dodging the draft, the Vietnam War, there in the UK. Terrorist attack today in France, Italy. Today in Paris, France. The attack, of course, killed 4 people. 11 more are injured. He was an Islamist named Sharif Shirkat. He apparently used hand grenades. So you can't get any guns in France. Even the yellow vests don't appear to be able to get any guns. But if you're a Muzzy, you can certainly get some hand grenades. No guns in France, but hand grenades apparently are available. Well, it looks like the Rotten Reverend is now running a new scam. The Rotten Reverend is now pushing a new scam for donations to her organization called Onward Together. It's kind of like another one of her slush funds, which she can either use the money from that when she runs and tries to win the Democratic nomination in 2020, or she can use it to use for walking around cash, millions of dollars worth, to pay for more dossiers on more of her political opponents. So the way this works is that you can join the Rotten Reverend Clinton for a Broadway play and some Chardonnay. That's how she's pitching it on her Facebook site. Join Hillary Clinton for a Broadway play and Chardonnay. Just donate to Onward Together for a chance to win. So here's how you can win something from the Rotten Reverend Clinton and become a member of her Onward Together resistance campaign. You can donate, and by donating, you are in fact you are becoming a member of Onward Together. And if you do the minimum, which is a $2,500 donation, that will get you an autographed copy of her book, What Happened. Now, I know a lot of you out there are dying to write a check for $2,500 to get an autographed copy of the Rotten Reverend's book, What Happened. I know many of you right now are reaching for your checkbook. But wait, you may want to go beyond that. You may want to write a $5,000 check, because a $5,000 check to the Rotten Reverend Clinton will get you a copy of her 1995 speech to the UN, which I believe is available on YouTube for free. Or you could write the $20,000 check, and that will get you a meet and greet with the Rotten Reverend Clinton. How about that? You can meet the Rotten Reverend Clinton for just $20,000. $20,000 will get you a meet and greet with the Rotten Reverend. Or you can just catch Bill and Hill on their An Evening with the Clintons tour, and you can pick up a ticket on Groupon for about $6. Alrighty, another thing too, we talked a story yesterday, talked about a story with the Rotten Reverend Clinton, with her and her girlfriend Huma going to India to attend the wedding of this multi-billionaire whose father made all the family money in oil and gas. He's also a very large donor to the Clinton Foundation. And so initially it just looked like it was the Rotten Reverend Clinton, taking his trip to be in this man's wedding, because he obviously donates a lot to the Clinton Foundation. Maybe she's looking to shake him down for some more cash. Who knows? But we find out now that there's a lot more to that story. We're finding out that the Clintons were apparently supposed to have another one of their Evening with the Clintons events, which they just basically canceled. But they never gave a formal cancellation through their spokesperson. In fact, their spokesperson never came out and said a word about any of this. The Clintons just sort of mysteriously, and Bill Clinton was with her as well. So it was Bill, the Rotten Reverend, and Huma apparently got on a plane and flew to India. Now, the way this wedding thing works, apparently this just wasn't a one-day wedding over the weekend. The over the weekend event that they attended, or that Hillary and Huma attended, don't know where Bill was, probably out chasing tail in India. If you can do that in India, I'm sure he can. I know he doesn't hang around the Rotten Reverend in Huma. He's like the third wheel there, so he's probably chasing some tail in India. But a lot of people are saying that the Clintons wanted to get out of town because there's a lot of things going down around them, and they just wanted to get out of town. Now, this wedding, apparently, the weekend celebration was like a pre-wedding party. The actual wedding isn't until today, Wednesday, and the Clintons are expected to be there from the day they got there this past weekend, I guess Friday or Saturday, and I guess they'll be attending the wedding and coming back after the wedding, but their spokesperson is not saying anything about that other than that the Clintons won't that the next time you'll see the Clintons in the U.S. is when they have another Evening with the Clintons deal, and that's not till after the first of the year. And so it almost looks like they're going to be spending some extended time overseas. Almost like they just want to get out of town because there's a lot of things happening that they don't want to be around for, I guess you might say. So a lot of people are wondering if they're bugging out because they're, they just want to get out of town because of all the heat coming on around them. So who knows with the Clintons? It could be anything. No telling what scam or scandal or whatever that they may have going on at this point. Who knows with those two? Let's see. The Department of Justice is fighting in court not to unseal the records which would show why the FBI whistleblower Dennis Kane was raided 2 weeks ago, who, of course, had been given whistleblower status by Inspector General Huckleberry Horowitz. He had followed all the procedures, and, of course, he provided documents which show that Uncle Bob the Executioner, Mueller, while head of the FBI, did not investigate crimes associated with Uranium One, the Clinton Foundation, various other things. So he is one of 3 whistleblowers that's reported to have given information to the IRS as well as the Inspector General, and of course he gave information apparently to either Mr. Huber or Mr. Huber's third-party group that we talked about last night, the private company that's been doing investigation allegedly for Mr. Huber about the Clinton Foundation and Uranium One, and probably other things as well. And the reason that the DOJ is giving for not unsealing the search warrant is that they say it will jeopardize the integrity of an ongoing investigation. It's the same excuse they give every time you try to find out what's going on. And a lot of people are speculating that this was Uncle Bob that wanted to find out what they got on him, and that this may be Uncle Bob's doing. If that's true, and we probably will get to the bottom of this in the next week or two, because Chuck Grassley has sent a letter many of you have read to Christopher No Shit Sherlock Ray, the director of the Federal Bureau of Insubordination, and he's told Christopher Ray he wants to know why the hell they raided this FBI whistleblower. Do they respect the rights of whistleblowers? Do they regard Mr. Kane as a whistleblower? He was given that status by the IG. So Chuck Grassley wants to know exactly what's going on, why they had the warrant, how they justified the warrant, whether or not they regard this individual as a legitimate whistleblower, and exactly what's going on with all of this. So I don't know if this private lawyer who's seeking to get this information through the courts, if he's going to be successful, but Grassley should, because he does have that oversight. So I think that we are going to learn who was behind that raid, and it was looking more and more like it was Uncle Bob the Executioner, and he pulled it off because he wanted to find out what this information was. We can only assume that's because Horowitz didn't share that with him. and he probably would not, based on the circumstances of what it was. Tom Fitton will be testifying on Capitol Hill along with other whistleblowers and other individuals with information on the Clinton Foundation and Uranium One. I think that that's going to be Thursday or Friday. Not really sure the exact date. But he is going to be appearing, so we'll be looking forward to seeing Tom Fitton's testimony. He's got a lot of documents. But apparently there's 2 or 3 whistleblowers, Tom Fitton, and a couple other individuals who are going to testify on Capitol Hill in open hearings on Thursday or Friday this week about the Clinton Foundation and Uranium One. This will be done in the House Oversight Committee, which will be, of course, Goodlatte, Howdy Doody Gowdy, and Mark Meadows. Well, we all know that Comey lied a whole lot in his congressional testimony behind closed doors. Why did Comey lie in his congressional record and his congressional testimony behind closed doors? Why did he do it? Well, a lot of people say, yeah, well, because if he tells the truth, he'll be indicted. Correct. That is true. But here's another reason why Comey believed it was okay to lie. Because if any of you have read either the transcript or you've read any reporting on his testimony, you know that he told many, many lies. The things he said in the hearings are just simply not believable. Unbelievable. In other words, cannot be believed. Therefore, they must be a lie. And they are lies. So why did Comey feel so comfortable to sit there and lie? Well, here's your answer. Because he was never placed under oath. Never placed under oath. Just like the Rotten Reverend Clinton, when she was interviewed by Comey. Only Republicans and people associated with Trump get placed under oath. Democrats and people associated with the deep state never get placed under oath. Now, according to Jim Jordan, when he was asked about this, he said, well, yeah, he was never actually put your hand on the Bible, raise your right hand and say, take the oath. No, that's not actually what he did. But Jim Jordan says that there are rules within the U.S. Congress that when they have a witness come testify, they are expecting that they're getting the truth, and that even though they don't put you under oath, you are expected to tell the truth. And if you lie, even though you weren't placed under oath, you still lied to Congress. Even though you weren't under oath, you still lied to Congress, and you can still be held accountable for lying to Congress. And as we know, Uncle Bob has just placed an indictment on Michael Cohen for lying to Congress, which now I guess that sets the new standard so that anyone who lies to Congress should immediately be indicted. Well, that's a whole lot of people. And it's Comey told many, many lies. Many. The answers he gave are just simply not believable. Not believable. And everyone knows it. "130 climate change protesters stormed Pelosi's office today. But she wasn't there. Her staffers were, though. Apparently the climate change protesters are very unhappy with the Madame Botox. She was over in Trump's office being made a fool of. Being set up by Trump with the cameras on. But I'm sure she heard about it. She'll be looking for who organized that. I can promise you that. Well, the CEO of Google was confronted today in Congress by Jim Jordan as well as many other Republicans for the behavior of Google as far as censoring Republicans. And they went through it and they called him out, and he's just an arrogant son of a gun, and he really doesn't care. And he lies a lot too. Of course, he is named Sundar Pichai, I guess his name's pronounced Pichai. But what was actually funny was as he was walking into the hearing room, Alex Jones was there. Alex Jones greeting him in the hallway and shouting him down in the hallway. And Roger Stone was with Alex Jones, by the way. And what's her name, the little blonde girl that's on InfoWars, she was there as well. But Alex Jones was raising holy hell in the hallway. You know how Alex, he's pretty loud. He was screaming. Eventually, the cop in the hallway made Alex quiet down, but he was screaming and hollering, and I think he actually got into the hearing. I'm not sure if he had a chance to say anything in the hearing. I haven't heard about that, but I think Alex actually did get into the hearing room. Let's see. What else have we got? Oh, yes. Joe Digenova being interviewed on, I think, WMAL. He does an interview, I think, every Monday morning or Tuesday morning with WMAL. It's a radio station somewhere, don't know where. And he was asked about William Barr. And he spoke very glowingly of William Barr, which is interesting to note, because a lot of us like Joe Digenova. We think he's a straight shooter, and quite honestly, he doesn't come out and say good things about people unless he pretty much believes it. I mean, he has no problem. If he really didn't like Barr, he would have no problem coming out and saying, oh, I don't like the guy at all. You know, he's deep state or whatever. But that's not what he said. Joe Digenova gave a very strong endorsement for William Barr and thinks he'll do a great job. I went through a lot of his comments. I've gone through his bio. I've gone through a lot of things with William Barr in the last week or so. I'm still on that sort of, you know, the jury's out. I won't know what to think about Barr until I see him in action. I think he'll get confirmed, and probably should be confirmed pretty easily. He's been confirmed before. He probably will face a few tough questions and that sort of thing, but I think he will be confirmed. But, you know, to me, I just need to see his actions, you know, what he does. I believe that in the first 30 days, first 2 to 4 weeks, if he hasn't fired Rodenstein, then I'm going to automatically put him on the list of black hats. Because I don't know how any attorney general who focuses so much on telling us how much he regards two things. Number one, the rule of law. And number two, equal justice under the law. He talks a lot about those two things. If he really believes in those two things, he will have to fire Rodenstein. And he will have to rein in the witch hunt by Uncle Bob. And he can do that very easily by simply cutting off his funds. Just cut his budget to zero. No more budget. Investigation's over. Or just call Mueller into his office and say, throw it on the table, Bob. What have you got? What have you got? Russia collusion. That's what I'm talking about. What have you got? No? Nothing? Shut it down. You're done. So that to me will tell me he's an honest dealer. And if he appoints a special prosecutor, or, and I think that's what he has to do. I don't think this investigation, in fact, I don't even think a special prosecutor going through the Department of Justice, the FBI, the intelligence agencies, or whatever, can even do a fair investigation. I think that you almost have to use outside third party, outside of Washington, private, people to do this type of investigation, because the FBI and DOJ are rotted to the core. Now, Digenova suggests that William Barr, while Digenova didn't say matter-of-factly that, yeah, he believes that he'll end the Mueller investigation and he'll start looking into the Clinton Foundation and Uranium One and Spygate and the FISA warrants and the dossier and all these things. While Joe Digenova didn't go that far, he did say that he believes that Barr will come in and clean up and try to restore a non-political atmosphere to the DOJ. So there's like two minds here. There's one mind that says he just wants to come in and let bygones be bygones, wipe the slate clean, and then try to get the politicism out of the DOJ and FBI moving forward, and let bygones be bygones. Personally, that will be 100% unacceptable to me. 100% unacceptable. Not going to happen. If you allow, and I certainly hope he understands this, because it doesn't matter what the names of the people are at the DOJ and FBI, it's the culture that exists there. And if you do nothing to the people who tried to run a frame-up, a palace coup on Trump, if you do nothing to them, you do not indict them, prosecute them, make an example of them, then what that does is it tells everyone else in that culture that it's okay to frame an outsider who happened to win an election he wasn't supposed to win. It's okay to try to destroy him by abusing the FISA court, using false information, planting spies in his campaign, confidential informants, whatever you want to call them, agent provocateurs, destroying people around him, trying to put pressure on them to compose tunes, to impeach the president, and all these other things. If you allow these people to believe that they can get away with that, what do you think they will do next? That's why I always said that we never should have stopped pursuing the truth about the JFK assassination, because in letting that slide, we sent a powerful message to those people, which are a lot of the same people, that you can assassinate a president and get away with it. And that's why we should have made sure at some point in our history that we held those people accountable, but we never did. And we still haven't. And that's why we got so many other things after the JFK assassination, too many to even list. And now we finally get to this point where we see they actually tried to pull off a palace coup, and they're still working very hard on it every day. So to me, Mr. Barr must come in and do something to bring the criminals to justice who were involved in the Spygate crime, that conspiracy. He needs to bring them to justice. That is the only way there'll be equal justice under the law. He needs to look at the rotten Reverend Clinton, her dealings with the Clinton Foundation, as well as Bill and Chelsea and others. He needs to look at the Uranium One deal, which involved both Rodenstein and Uncle Bob the executioner, as well as Clinton, Obama's State Department. He needs to look at the whole thing. That's equal justice. We've spent 2 years shaking down everyone who ever knew Donald Trump, destroying lives. They're trying to get him impeached or destroy his presidency. And so there needs to be some justice for the other side. He needs to end the witch hunt. There's nothing there, and he knows it. He needs to end it, and then he needs to investigate the real crimes, the real conspiracy. And again, I don't think that can be done through the Department of Justice or the FBI. I don't think it can be done even through a special prosecutor, to be honest with you, at this point. I think he would have to use outside third-party type of investigative people to get that done. So we'll be watching to see, but it was good to hear Joe Digenova give a positive take. But again, I appreciate that, but for me, I need to see action. I need to see what Mr. Barr does. I'll give him 30 days to make something happen. And at that point, I'm probably not going to be very favorable to him. At that point, I'll consider him part of the deep state and another huge appointment mistake by Trump, if that happens. But I'll be watching. Just a note about tomorrow, Thursday's video. Let's see. Yes, there won't be a Thursday video because Wednesday evening is our company Christmas dinner. And so I probably won't get home till like 11 or something like that. Probably too late. And I probably won't be in condition. It'll be too late, and I probably won't be in condition to do a video on Wednesday night. So no video on Thursday. But I'll be back with TowerGate videos on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'll look forward to being back with you then. If you are having a TowerGate withdrawal symptoms because there's no video on Thursday morning, I highly recommend you go watch the Tracy Beans interview with the Papagalopoulos. You do need to turn your volume up, be able to turn your volume up on whatever you're watching on, because the volume is pretty low. But it's a very good interview with George and Simona Papagalopoulos and Tracy Beans. So I'd recommend you watch that if you haven't seen it, in absence of the TowerGate video for Thursday morning. Otherwise, I'll be back. I'll see you guys again on Friday. Thanks so much. You guys have a good night. See ya. Bye.